Darth Marr was the last of the assembled Dark Council members to arrive at their secret chamber beneath the Citadel. He'd scheduled the meeting, contacting the others only hours after learning of Darth Gravus's death. But even though he'd summoned them, he still had no idea what he was going to say. He'd reviewed the official records of the battle over Lerator, including transcriptions of the communications between Gravus and Carrid and the field reports filed by Moff Lorman. The Ascendant Spear dropped out of hyperspace beyond range of the Republic scanners, at which time Darth Carrid informed Darth Gravus of our arrival.
Darth Gravus, this is Darth Carrid. The Ascendant Spear is at your disposal.
Disengage, Carrid. We didn't call for reinforcements. This is my battle to win, not yours.
Darth Carrid disregarded Darth Gravus's request, choosing to aid the Imperial war effort by engaging the enemy fleet. After the Ascendant Spear disposed of one of the Republic hammerheads, Darth Gravus and Darth Carrid had the following exchange.
You think this will turn the Dark Council against me, Carrid? You could take out every Republic ship in this quadrant, but when it comes time to choose someone to join their ranks, they'll still pick me over a Falleen.
You do not grasp the danger you are in, Gravus. You could be killed in this battle. I am here to ensure a desirable outcome for the Empire.
Ignore the Republic ships! Fire on the Ascendant Spear! Destroy it at all costs! Do not let it—
At this time, Gravus switched to an auxiliary communications channel. Shortly after this, he fired on the Ascendant Spear as we continued to engage the Republic fleet. Darth Carrid was forced to destroy Gravus and his fleet to defend her ship and crew. The official military review would clearly show Gravus had been in the wrong. However, it was obvious to Marr, just as it would be obvious to everyone on the Dark Council, that Carrid had intentionally goaded him into firing the first shot. The fact that Carrid had brazenly defied Marr's instructions and undermined his attempts to unify the Sith by eliminating a rival was disturbing. He was starting to wonder if granting her a seat on the Dark Council would be more trouble than it was worth. His immediate concern, however, was dealing with the fallout from the other Sith Lords assembled in the room.
Darth Marr,
Vowron said by way of greeting.
It's impolite to keep us all waiting.
Marr ignored the Sith's sardonic words.
You all know what happened to Gravus,
he said, getting straight to the matter at hand.
You all know why we're here.
It seems Gravus is no longer a viable candidate,
Vowron said with a coy smile.
Does this mean Carrid is our choice by default?
That question must be answered by the entire Dark Council,
Marr replied, bracing himself for the outrage and protests of the others. There was an unexpected silence before the ancient Darth Rictus spoke up.
Carrid answered the question for us, he proclaimed. She bested her rival with strength, yet was cunning enough to make it appear she was in the right. These are the traits of a true Sith.
Darth Marr was left momentarily speechless at the unexpected show of support. Given Rictus's many years on the Dark Council, his approval would go a long way toward winning the others over.
We were willing to give the seat to Gravus if he defeated the Republic at Lerator,
Mortis chimed in.
Since Carrid claimed the victory, she deserves the prize.
Marr was even more surprised by Mortis's support. His sphere of influence was laws and justice, and even though the Empire's version of justice could often be summarized as might makes right, he'd assumed Mortis would be outraged by what Carrid had done.
Gravus was your candidate,
he said, looking for clarification.
You don't want to seek revenge for his death?
I thought Gravus was more powerful than Carrid,
he replied.
But his death proves otherwise. She issued a challenge, and he accepted by firing on her ship. A fatal mistake. It seems I underestimated the Falleen.
She took bold action,
Darth Ravage added.
She saw what she wanted and she seized it. If more of the other Sith Lords beneath us followed her example, The Republic would not have us running like cowards.
Their words momentarily caught Marr by surprise. Though Carid's actions were perfectly in line with the traditional ways of the Sith, he thought it would take longer for the rest of the Dark Council to overcome their inherent prejudice and welcome a member of a lesser species into their ranks. However, he understood that their willingness to embrace Carid was still driven by the one trait they all shared: self-preservation. As Dark Lords of the Sith, they understood the power of Carid's ship and the opportunity she represented. The spear was vital if they hoped to turn the tide of the galactic war. And down the road, Carid could be a powerful ally to use against not only the Republic, but also the other members of the Dark Council. For now, they would invite her in with open arms, each publicly voicing support to try to win her over as they bided their time. Waiting patiently, they would play their political games, trying to twist her allegiance so they could use her and her ship to their own advantage, even as they slowly plotted her destruction. In other words, they would see her as they each saw every other member of the Dark Council, simultaneously a potential ally and a potential enemy. Marr sighed inwardly. Carid had not hesitated to wipe out a fellow Dark Lord to advance her own career, even though the loss of Gravus made the Empire more vulnerable to the Republic. He had hoped the Fallen might be more open to his efforts to unify the Sith against a common foe, but she had proven herself to be as much a student of the old ways as all the others. Despite his best efforts, the culture of backstabbing and infighting still prevailed. The Emperor had kept it under control by virtue of his own unassailable position and power, but in his absence, it was eating away at the core of the Empire, and Marr was starting to doubt if he or any among the great Sith Lords would be able to stop it.